Hi there, and welcome to another one of Sydney's tutorials for art. I'm Sydney. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Today, I'm actually doing like a normal tutorial. I'm actually going to show you how to draw stuff and give you some ideas and directions to go, because honestly at this point, most of the conceptual stuff that I have to share requires you to, like, draw. So, today we're going to be going over facial construction and how to draw a face of a human character. Pretty much any character. Just kind of changes depending on what kind of, proportions of the head that you want. But this tutorial is encompassing. It is the most basic of basics. This will get you started no matter where you want to go, whether you want to be learning how to draw normal people or crazy cartoons. This is the most fundamental that I believe you can get. And you're going to learn it with me, the funny gay cat on the internet. So let's hop on over to my art stream. Here we go. Alrighty. So, when it comes to drawing faces, or drawing anything for that matter, the most important thing to have is your foundation. Your foundation is, like, just violently important, alright? And sometimes what'll happen is you'll get either art advice or see artists' work where they skip over some portions of the foundation because those things are just kind of like ingrained in how they operate. Like for me, for instance, I don't need to map out a whole bunch of stuff about a head or anything crazy to be able to bang out a pretty decent looking neck up kind of shot. So for instance here, I'm doing this rapid fire so you can get a feel for what I'm talking about. And in case you haven't noticed by my character, I do have kind of a cartoony anime style, or consistency. And I have always drawn that way. I'm drawing my bunny character as best as I can, given that I'm doing this like really fast. Give her her little bunny ears. She's got a hair over here, and over here, and over here, and over here. So there's a lot of things that I skipped over that I don't really need to do when it comes to drawing faces. Again, this is like really crappy and really quick, but it gets the rough idea out of how to do a face. And as most people in my chat will say, that's way better than anything I can do. And it's like, well, it's just because, you could do this. And I'm going to actually teach you how to do this. Not this specifically, but this in a far more academic manner. So, what are you going to need? You're going to need a paper, a pencil, any way that you're able to draw something. You're going to need the capability of drawing a letter O and the letter I without the little dot, and maybe a letter L. If you can spell the word oil and write it out, congrats, you can draw. Not even kidding. Good job. So let's start very simple. We're going to start with 3 circles. We're going to start with our 3 O's. You can kind of coax over it a few times to get it right. However you want to get there, you can get there. Alright, we have our 3 circles. Now here, I'm going to demonstrate, we're going to mark these out, demonstrate, blah, 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 blah. Here we're going to mark out what each one is going to be. So for instance, this over here is going to be a 3/4 turn of the head. This is going to be a front view of the head. And then this is going to be a side view of the head. Cool, cool. We're going to start with the front because this informs the other 2. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw a line straight down the middle. You're going to cut that thing right in half. Good job. And then you're going to cut it you're going to cut it in half lengthwise. Now from here, you're actually going to start taking a few measurements. Like here at the bottom of the circle, in a rough estimate, you're going to draw another line. Then in the middle of these two, literally dead in the middle, as close as you can get, you're going to draw another line. And then using this kind of space here, you're going to kind of gauge that other line. So you want 4 tiers of lines like these going down. I'm going to slightly move it aside because I can see that I'm skewing it. Just for the sake of, you know, symmetry. We're going to do our best here. So, you want 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers of lines, all roughly the same distance apart from each other. Now, eventually what's going to happen for you is that you won't need these lines. The more you practice and the more you get the hang of doing heads, you can bang these out pretty quick. Again, you saw at the start, I banged this out pretty quick. But you can see here, this line and this line. You can see the cut down line that I did. And you can see actually not dead in the center, but rather that line under the center. Interesting, no? Alright. But going back here, all of these lines, I'm going to kind of round up my circle a little more, are like your fundamental like building blocks for the rest of the head. Congrats, you now have everything that you need to draw the rest of the head. So, what we're going to start with is we're going to do the jaw. This part here, the circle, this is like the cranium. This is the part where your brain is at. And a little bit of where your eyes are, because your eyes are right in front of your brain. Your eyes are actually rubbing up against your brain. It's kind of creepy to think about. Don't think about it too much. So now we're going to go into the jaw, which actually starts from this line. Because you go from the edge of this circle down to this line, to the third line. And then you bring it in to there. And then depending on the kind of jaw shape that you want to go for, you can either make it longer or you can skew in this line, but we're doing basic of the basic of the basic. This is as fundamental and blocky as this can get, and then you're allowed to go crazy with it afterwards. So we're going to do it on we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Boom. Right? Awesome. Literally, boom, there you go. There's a head. Then, from here, the bottom of the circle, we're going to draw a little nubbin. Some people do an oval. I like doing a triangle. You can already tell what this is. But this is your nose. This is where your nose is. And then just a little bit under the nose is where your mouth is going to be. You can give any sort of like expression that you want. You can be kind of neutral. We can be happy. We can be like kind of. But for me, I think we're going to stick with that happy. We're going to make our dude kind of happy. Up. And I'm going to give him little dimples in the side of his cheeks because it's cute. So from here, let's do the eyes. Because you already did the nose. You know where the nose is supposed to go. And then you can actually change the shape of the nose depending on the block that you build up to this crosshair point. So if you want like a nice, you know, normal nose, you can do with that. If you want like a weird little, that kind of nose, you can do with that. If you want a big nose, you can extend out the triangle to make the nostrils. Boom. But we're going to keep it simple, because again, simplicity. And then, in case you couldn't tell, this line up here, number 1, is your brow ridge. And right underneath your eyebrows is where your eyes hang out. And so you're going to draw a circle dead in the middle of these little aspects here. If you want to get really technical, you should be able to fit a third eye in the center. There should be 3 eyes. There should be an eye in the middle of the 2 eyes. That's the actual distance that you're supposed to have. But for this example, we don't really care. And yeah, he's looking a little freaky and a little scary, but that's okay. You know, again, it's meant to be like a skeleton. This is your foundation, this is your base, this is, you know, your starting point. And then from line 1 to line 3 is where your ears are. And you can just do like a little half cut. Or you can do a square ear. However you want to draw your ears, you can do whatever you want. You can even give them elf ears by drawing little curved triangles. But we're going to go back to the rounded ears. I think those work the best for me. Boom. And now we have our pretty much a whole face, you know, already. And then if you want, you can add your pupils. And then you can add your eyebrows. The shapes of your eyes and your eyebrows can change depending on from character to character. My eyebrows, me, Sydney, down here in the corner, I have these kind of like arches. I have like a triangle that's getting pushed up. My other character, Elise, has one of these kind of triangles. My character, Parzival, has like big, thick rectangles. But for right now, we're going to stick with lines. Again, we're sticking to simplicity for your sake, right? Now from here, you know, he's looking a little bald, so let's give him some hair. And the way that I do hair is that I go from this kind of like arc point in, like along this curve of the head, and I swing it around about 2 of these, so we'll go like 0 and then -1. These aren't important, but this is just to give you an idea of like the distance. And then you kind of do this little wraparound thing. Boom. So this is your hair line. This is not your hair. This is your hair line. This is where your hair will grow from. And you can even see it on my character. I kind of have one because my hair does this. See what I mean? Not that my hair goes crazy like that, but so if you want to add like little bangs to this guy's hair and give it like a little more volume with some spikes, or however you want to do your hair, you can do it any way you want. I'll eventually make a tutorial on like designing haircuts for people, drawing from references on how to do hairs, good ways of designing hair. But this is, again, this tutorial is simple. It's just to give you the basics of how to draw the scariest face you've ever seen in your life. So congrats, if you've hit this point, you've drawn a face. Good job. But let's make it a little more finished, because it's just kind of like a floating head, and that's a little scary. So this is the part that I like doing, where you draw on the neck, and the neck is like usually a little bit in from the jaw, but it could also be the size of the jaw, depending on the character. Again, the neck is just a rectangle that goes into the circle. So however you want to do your neck, do your neck. But your neck is usually one of these tiers down, so we're going to do a 5. So that's how long the neck usually is another tier down. So it starts from like a little up from center jaw down to about another quarter of the head down. And then from here, you just draw like a square. I know that didn't look like a square, but that's all you're drawing, is you're drawing like a flattened kind of square. And this becomes your shoulder line. And then you can draw a little like a little semicircle there for the shirt, and you can throw in some collarbones if you want. Now, I'm not going to do this for the other ones, or maybe I will, I don't know, but right now, I'm going to kind of show you how we go from this really scary looking dude into an actual finished looking character. So when you do your eyes, you can do it however you want. You can do it like the anime style, like I do. You can actually go the realistic style, which looks really scary, but like you can, where you get the eyelids and the tear ducts and the eyelashes and everything. You can totally do that if you want. But for our sake, because of simplicity, we're just gonna take the circle. We're gonna draw along the top of it. We're gonna draw a little under the bottom of it, and then we're gonna draw that, leaving us with that. And we'll do the eyebrow. All right, and now for this portion, I'm gonna wrap this up, but literally watch how I align this, okay? And you'll see exactly how we get to our endpoint. It's gonna look a little goofy, but again, this is fundamental basics. This allows you to go in any direction stylistically that you want, and helps inform your studies. Don't do everything my way. Figure out what way it works for you. But these fundamentals are across the board. All right, let me get to this, and I'll start talking again in just a moment. Alright, so I've drawn over it. You know, we've done that classic line art style. You don't have to do this at home, that's why I sped that up. But, it's a dude! He's looking a little scary. But how we can fix that actually is by lowering the eyelids a little bit. So we're going to get rid of those top ones. I'm going to feel informed about that. We're going to actually round out his eyes a little more too. There, he's a little more content now. But yeah, you just drew a dude. Good job. Hell, even for me, you know, I'm not really fucking with these ears. So we're gonna shrink them down. But that's entirely something that you can do. I don't know if I actually properly mentioned it. This might be my fault. But the end of the ear usually ends up around the nose, not the end of the jaw. And the end of the jaw is usually not the nose either. It's usually the mouth. But again, you know, you did it. Good job. You drew a dude, presumably. And now what you can do using this kind of base style, again, I'm just going to go over it really quickly. You got your circle. And now you can do, instead of doing like these really curved shapes, or really harsh, like, you know, sharp shapes like I was doing with the jaw, you can do a really nice curve. And then you can dainty up the neck a little bit. And then lower down the shoulders a smidge. But then you still follow the same guidelines here. Again, the ears go to the bottom of the nose, and the bottom of the nose starts at the, you know, that point. So you give some ears. We'll make this one a little more apathetic. Use that hairline. Swapped over to eraser for a second. Oopsies. And using even the same basic setup, we've instead drawn a more feminine character. We'll give her a shirt too. So now we have our dude and a woman, all based off of this freaky fucking thing that we made here. Now, moving on. We're not going to touch this one yet. We're going to go over here. We're going to do the side. This one I know of a lot of people have a problem with. Because even I used to do it too, where I don't know what makes it happen. But somewhere along the line, you just like draw the jaw like really big. Or just like do something really pointed like that. But you don't need to do that. Because again, we just use the same lines that we drew from the last one. Of course, the circle is a little bit different this time. Oops. So I'm actually going to do a whole different basis, but the same, you know, rules apply. Except this center line. Because this is no longer the center of the face. The center of the face is over here, because I want the character facing this way. So now instead of drawing it straight down the middle, we're instead going to draw it over here. If you have watched my advanced stick figure tutorial, you know, where you draw your neck, your shoulders, the hips, the legs, as best as you can, anyways. And then you can kind of bang out a pose like this. And then I also talked about how adding a crosshair to the face, like this, allows you to kind of immediately get that, the angle of the head. The same thing translates to this. This is where the crosshair is facing. Here, crosshair is facing this way. Over here, crosshair is going to get a little janky, but we'll get there when we get there. But for right now, the crosshair is over here. So, we're going to cut this in half. Again, these are all just roughs. Boom. So you kind of have your rough idea of where everything goes. Once again, you can even go down here again for the fifth layer. And now, you have to rotate in your mind a skull. To rotate this circle, because it went from facing this way to facing this way. Well, actually, if anything, more like that. So now these eyes, you only see one of them, but they're still on this line here. Again, a little janky, but the eye is still here. But the circle is there, yes, right? We get that full circle, but now that pupil needs to be staring straight ahead. It can't be here. That's scary. Instead, it floats this way. It sits at the front of the eye. Your eyeball, this little thing, right? The eye kind of squishes. The iris itself kind of squishes around. This actually helps you sell where your eye is looking. Because depending on the angle of the actual eyeball, using that crosshair system again, it can kind of tell you where the character's looking. I notice it a lot with some artists that don't really do that, so they'll draw like eyes, and then one eye will be over there, and then another eye will be over here, and then they'll kind of get like this weird, like, lazy eye effect going on, but it's not intentional. So mapping out where your iris is and giving it that foreshortening, even as something as simple as just like a little oval in front of a big circle, helps. That might be a little more advanced than I want it to be, but bah, who cares? Now, you are actually going to go down the center here, but this is for the jaw. Which comes out to about, where are we end it? There it is. So the jaw is going to go like this, and it's not exactly going to go line up here, but it is going to swing out a little bit. Boom. I feel like actually, if anything, that should be longer. Yeah, this guy's jaw was a little fucked up. So we're actually going to make his jaw a little longer in this one. But that's okay. So we're making it a smidge longer because this part here is where the nose starts. And that nose can just be a little triangle for right now, sitting there. But then it has to connect to this middle point, which is the bridge line, your brow line. We'll give him an eyebrow too. Remember, your eyebrows also foreshorten. So you kind of don't get it over here. It kind of sits on the front of the face. And then you could draw a mouth. Also, again, you start, not again, but you start from the center point. You start from the center point here, and droop down. Just a smidge past, like a halfway of a halfway through these two lines to get that jaw ridge. Same thing technically should have happened here, is start here. That's my bad. But it just helps give that jaw a bit more length to it. And then, same thing, from top of the eye to bottom of the nose, you get your ear. Boom. Then the same thing for the hairline too. It kind of coaxes around. You start with this little sideburny thing, and then it just like goes whoop. Now the neck does not go straight down. If anything, it kind of has this weird, like, pitch to it, where your neck is kind of going at an angle. I know, I just rushed past that. Hold on. So you're doing like a rough angle here, and then you want to add like a dipping triangle. It's going to be a triangle that kind of starts like that, but it's like dipping in. And then you just wrap another shirt around them. And there you go. Actually, we're going to make that a little smaller. You don't have to follow along with this, but yeah. And then you kind of want, usually you want the chin to be out a little further than the chest. Because your chest kind of falls, kind of has like an arc to it. But yeah, so you want the chin like a little further than where the chest starts. And then, yeah, you got your neck. And again, we'll put him with a shirt. And then we can give him his hair. He's got his two little beads and his two little beads. And then a few spikes and stuff going on. There you go. And once again, I'm gonna line. I'm actually just gonna line over it, and we'll see how that came out. Hopefully, better than the first one. Alright. There we are. If anything, I'm going to hop over to this guy really quick and adjust his face a smidgen. Just for our sake. There we go. Should be a bit better. Yeah, give or take. If anything, his jaw should drip down a little more. But this too, you know, don't feel like you gotta perfect this off the rip. You can go back into this and figure out what kind of feels off about it. Sorry, I'm still recovering from a cold that I had the other week. We'll give him a little more detail to his nose. Also, a thing I forgot to mention as well, because, you know, professional video maker here. This little arc bump here is like your brow ridge. That's a little helpful. So it's literally just a little that shape off of the nose. Whatever nose shape you end up going for, you're gonna have this. And then depending on the pronunciation of it, also changes a little bit of the nose and the character's face. But doing just like a simple one or even like a rounded one is helpful. But you don't have to as well. Again, this is as like bare bones and basic as it gets. I'm just kind of making edits here and there where I can. And sometimes I even like throwing in the brow ridge kind of connector thing up top there. But yeah, here's our dude. You can see as well here with the eye. It's I shifted over the lower lid so it rotates back. You'll see this very commonly in anime and things like that. And it sits backwards rather than like under here. But under here works too. Really just like do whatever feels right. This is a thing that I always talk about during my streams is feeling trumps everything. If something feels off, or there's something that you do and the proportions aren't perfect, but it feels right, you're good. How something feels is more important than how it looks. I know it's a weird thing to say, but it's kind of true. And as you continue in your art journey, you'll probably find out that that's kind of true. Especially when you meet sticklers for how things are supposed to be when it comes to art. You'll realize that you can be a lot more chill and get things done. Not even quicker, just like, you know, more with more appreciation and more like contentness with your work, if you don't take it so seriously. Because this hobby is meant to be fun, and you're supposed to enjoy yourself, you know? If you're not having fun, what's the point? Alright, and from here, you know, we got our two creepy guys. Let's move on over to everyone's favorite, the 3/4 turn. I am currently in 3/4 turn, down here in the corner. So we're actually going to learn how to draw me, but not me. We're going to keep doing this guy. I think this generic dude is a pretty good jumping off point. But also, yeah, what I was saying before with the jaw, I'll fix it on this too. You'd want to go about here and then dip that down a little bit more. Same thing on the other side. And then you should feel a little better. I mean, he's still gonna look a little creepy, but and then I'll just do that. Again, that informs where your brow ridge is. There's more anatomy and like facial construction things going on that like I absolutely could go into, but for how bare bones and basic I want this video to be, I feel like just going over these three head shapes to get you started in any direction that you want to go is more helpful than me talking your ear off about, you know, how earlobes work and how the brow ridge works and why the eyelids work the way they do and how your jaw actually is on a hinge and does a thing and the muscles in your cheekbones informing how your eyes move. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? You're here to probably draw like either cute furry characters or like sick badass anime dudes or chicks. So I want to give you the building blocks to just like hit the ground running. You know? Because even if you can't draw like a cool pose or can't draw like, you know, cool armor and designs yet, you can draw ahead off the rip and kind of start informing yourself on how to do things. I'll eventually make a tutorial as well about how to take inspiration from like references and things, because I do that all the time and it's really important that you learn that skill, but it's also important that you're not just like straight up copying, but also you can copy. It's a weird middle ground that you kind of have to balance and take with purpose. But we'll get into that another day. Right now, we're going to give you the one that you want, the 3/4 turn. So again, we're going to cut our head in half. Oh, not what I want. That's what I want. There we go. Cut that shit in half. Right? Now, instead of putting it down in the middle, we're going to... Actually, you know what? That's for the purposes of explaining. You're going to leave that there. You're going to do another line there, and then you're going to do a line right down the middle here. This one is your focus. We're going to circle the endpoints of this so I know that. That's your baby. This is your baby right here, that line. Alright, and we're going to do the same. Roughish there, and that's 5. And there, that's 2, kind of. You know, and there's 0. So you're just dicing this thing up. Boom. Now, what you can do that's kind of helpful, actually, is... Honestly, I did it by accident, which is pretty sick. These lines and this line right here, this center line, if you add like a circle, like an oval anywhere near that, this helps like define the side of the head. And if you cut this in half, regardless of where it is in the face, this becomes the start of your jaw. Right? This part, because the same thing is happening here. This is the head, right? This is the circle of the side of the head. You're going to rotate over here. Now it's a little more squished because we're looking at it from a foreshortened view. But this is the start of your jaw, which is drooping down. Same thing here is where we started on 3. You know, this is our third line here. So we're going to dip a little bit down past 3, so probably about there. And then we're going to bring it to a point at 4. And a little past 4, so we'll go about there. So, hard line, boom. Then, roughly around the same spot, you know, as where the jaw over here is, we're going to do that other end of the jaw. And then we're going to bring down, you can kind of shift it as much as you need. This line here, we're going to bring that down and connect those, kind of using that as like a trajectory. So it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to go from nyam to nyam, 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 and boom, you just did a draw. You just did a jaw. And then I'm gonna round out the circle a little more. Look at that. That is already a pretty well 3/4 view head. Pretty great. Now once again, we're doing the nose at the base, at the bottom, where these lines meet. And I do a triangle, and I do one side longer than the other. The longer side is on the short end of the face, and then the short side of the nose is on the longer side of the face. And then you can draw that on up to your brow line. Give him that brow ridge. Good job. Now once again, you know, we're doing the eyes. We're on the eyes now. You're going to do big circles. But now, because of foreshortening, because the face is at a turned angle, these are a little closer together. And that's okay. Boom. Now it's kind of like squishy. But that's just because of foreshortening of the face. Then where these jaws meet, we're going to do the mouth. And we're going to make him happy again. There's our guy. We're going to give him his eyebrows. Ears. We know this at this point. From bottom of the nose to top of the eye. Now for eyes, again, with that foreshortening rule, how I like to do it is I just kind of do... Actually, one is going to be closer to the inside of the eye. And the other one's going to be further. So it's kind of going to look cross-eyed, but not super cross-eyed. So they look more like this. The reason for that is because this is a hole. So you're actually looking at the inside of the hole through the hole. So it's kind of like a cup. Like that. And you're able to see that. But then as it gets closer to you, you know, you're able to see more and more inside. But for the hole to be looking this way, it has to go that way. It just kind of helps the illusion of staring straight ahead, you know what I mean? Again, play with it, figure out different things that you like. Maybe doing these kind of generic eye shapes aren't really your thing. It's okay. Do whatever feels comfortable to you. Then we got our guy. You know, we got his head. And then we're going to do the hairline again, just from this vertices over to here. And then we kind of get this weird moment where we go into this little side thing. Right? This just says that this is sideways. That's all that's saying, is that this is the flat end of the head. We go from, this should actually be a circle, technically. The circle informing the head to this little oval informing the head. But we get the sideburns through it, and we can add his little hair tufts that he has. And then, here, have to actually figure out how the jaw works here. Boop, boop, boop. There you go. If you give your guys these little like neck base plates, that again are just a square. Except for this one. This one's a triangle. If you give you guys just this like little skewed square as a neck base, it finishes out the head. And you can also do costuming and stuff with it too. So it's like, oh, he's actually wearing a vest. Okay, well you just add vest lines, you know, like that. You want him to have a collar, give him a collar. You know, you can mess around with costuming the neck up. Yeah, we got our guy. And once again, I'm gonna line him. So I'll be right back. Boom! Congrats. You've just done like a pretty decent turnaround. Now, of course, how you do your noses, how you draw your eyes, how you do the facial features of your characters, however you want to do it, you know? If you want to do crazy cubey eyes, like this, with big thick brows, you can do that. If you want to do weird, you know, Eddsworld mouths, or even Eddsworld eyes, I don't know if the kids know what Eddsworld is anymore, you can totally do that. I don't remember if they have noses or not. You can throw on whatever you want on top of these bases. And this is a lot of like planning and pre-prep, and it gets kind of obnoxious to do it constantly. But what's going to happen is if you keep up doing this and mapping these out and figuring out how these feel and getting it down and playing with it and trying it and doing new things with it, eventually you'll hit a point where you can just bang out one of these pretty quick. You'll know where things go. You'll either make enough characters that you have consistently that you can just, pop, there she is, or there he is. For me, that's my character Elise. If we break it down, we got that center line, we got that middle line. Her nose is roughly at the end of the circle. Her mouth is where the jaw is. Her eyebrows are up here. Her hair technically follows the hairline. Again, it's more just like a base plate of where you want to put stuff. She's got like her little bangs. She's got another little bang going down here. Everything kind of curves off this point here. You got the rest of her head, and then you got her neck. So, take a screenshot of this. You know, remember it, play with it. Use it as reference anytime you're working on heads or drawing stuff. And this doesn't go away. There are definitely people out there who will do a better job explaining it. There are definitely better ways of going about doing this than the way I've talked about it today. But if you're finding this video just to get started with, I don't think you can really go wrong with this kind of start off. Especially because, again, this is not going to go away. This is how a human face is proportioned and how they're done. If you want to do like furry faces and things, all you're doing is adding extra detail to the front of the mouth and kind of mushing everything out forward. You know, you're adding like a box for the muzzle, or doing, you know, crazy ears instead of the normal ear. But yeah, I hope watching this video has helped you kind of understand a little bit better how to do facial construction. If you have any questions, feel free at any time to, you know, leave a comment or even hop into one of my streams when I'm doing animation work and ask a question. I am more than willing to talk and explain things and help clear up, you know, either confusions or, you know, stuff like that. We also have a Discord available, but to join you have to stop in on one of my streams, like actually, and hang out with us and talk to us while you know, I'm doing stuff. If you do that and you're a cool person, we'll give you the Discord link, and then you can hop on in. We have a critique channel available. We have an art share channel available. We have an OC appreciation channel available, where you're able to just like talk about all the things that you like about your character and share it with like-minded people. We have a good amount of artists here, both new and old, and I couldn't be happier with the community that we're starting to build. And I hope with this tutorial, you know, if it helped you at all, you're willing to stick around and join the community as well, because we're probably not going anywhere anytime soon. I should be streaming, but anytime normally I'm streaming 4:30 p.m. to around about 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course, during weekdays, and then on weekends it's up in the air. I have a Twitter available where you can DM me anytime you want. I usually post art that I do there as well. I hope this video helped you in, you know, maybe understanding things about, you know, head construction a little better. Maybe it gave you a good intro into my kind of content and allowed, and you know, you feel a bit more comfortable hanging out here. But if it did help you, please leave a like. And if you want to stick around, consider subscribing and stopping in on one of my streams. the more people we get in the Discord, the more people can talk to each other when I'm not around. And I like seeing that. I love seeing that. Also, connected to that, if this tutorial helped you and you drew along or you're trying stuff with this, and you feel like you got somewhere good, or you feel like there's something missing that you want, like, not even critiqued, but just help, feel free at any time to DM me or, you know, hop in the Discord and send me your art. I want to see it. I want to see the stuff that you make with the help of my tutorials. I love seeing that sort of stuff. And I like you know, supporting people who want to be creative and do a bunch of, you know, cool things. So I want to see your work. I want to see the stuff you make. I want to see the characters you've made. I want to see the characters you want to make, you know? That's what I'm here for. That's what I want to do. And I hope, you know, you'll take advantage of that and hop on in either one of my streams or the Discord or otherwise. Again, you have to be in the stream to get in the Discord, but even still. All of my DMs are always open, and I'm always available to talk. So, you know, use that resource as best you can. And I hope, again, this video found you well, and I hope to see you again soon. I hope you have a lovely night, and I don't really have anything else to say, so, peace.